Why is this? Okay. Good day, YouTube. Today I want to talk about the situation where disk management tells you a disk is unknown, not initialized, and unallocated, which looks like this: unknown, not initialized, unallocated. What is important is that the correct size is detected. Okay, I offer support on a lot of forums with regards to data recovery related questions. And I see a lot of people that deal with this issue. They grab some file recovery software or data recovery software and run a full scan. Now, the problem with that is that a full scan takes a lot of time, and a full scan produces a lot of noise, because if we look at it, if you delete a partition or somehow lose a partition and you want the data from the partition back, you want the data as it was at the time that you lost it. And you're not interested in orphaned files, you're not interested in deleted files. So we don't have to scan for those either. Basically, a lost partition, if we look at how data is organized, this is where the partition is defined, the start of the partition and the end of the partition. So usually this is the starting point where the computer looks to find your data. So it will look at the drive, it will get some ID information about the drive. The drive tells the system how big it is and all that kind of stuff. It tells if it's healthy or not. Okay, but then the first thing the PC or the Mac or whatever has to do is look at the start of the drive, and it will look for partitions. And there may be one partition, two partitions, there may be 5 partitions, doesn't matter. And then for each of those individual partitions, it will look at the first sectors of those partitions, which tell the operating system at this point what file system is on that partition. And so you start with the partition table, and the information, then the file system structures kind of branch out into individual volumes and individual files in the end. Okay, but if we look at this situation where we see unallocated, not initialized, unknown, then here is where the problem is. And these structures may be okay, and often are okay. So that means that since these file system structures don't have any fundamental issues, we can just, what we call, parse them rather than run a full scan. The only thing we need to do is find the boundaries of the partitions. And I will show you in different tools how you can quickly do that without getting too much noise and without having to go through orphaned files and deleted files and folders and file names with generated file names and that sort of stuff. So, and one thing I need to mention as well is in-place repair. So if I said, since the structure is largely okay, people wonder, okay, can I not just recreate this entry for this partition? And while this is an option, it involves also a risk. And I would never recommend doing that without first cloning the entire drive. And when you go through the trouble of cloning the entire drive and then recreate the partition table, that kind of beats the purpose of using a file recovery tool to extract the data and copy it to another drive. And it kind of defeats the purpose, and it involves a risk. If a partition is lost, we don't know if the partition itself, the file system structure themselves are okay. And so if we would undelete the partition, and for example Windows would all of a sudden see the partition again, it may very well be possible, if the file system is not okay, that Windows basically may ruin your chances of a recovery of your files. So it's not without risk, and so therefore you have to clone the drive first, and that is a lot of effort and trouble, etc. So rather than in-place repair, I'm going to look at how can I, as effortlessly as possible, recover the files from a deleted or lost partition. And the deleted or lost partition is what disk management will show as unknown, not initialized, unallocated. I'm going to use 3 tools. So you have 3 examples how different tools can be used to recover your data. Let me look up my little script or list. Yeah. Well, where do we start? We can start with UFS Explorer, for example. UFS Explorer is a tool that's used by a lot of professional data recovery people. This concerns my 2 terabyte external hard drive. And what you will see in UFS Explorer is often it will automatically detect lost or deleted partitions. So that saves you the trouble of having to scan for them. But I'm going to assume for a minute that it did not detect the partition for whatever reason. It may happen. So then I'll show you what you can do then. You right-click the partition and you select manage partitions or regions. And for kicks, I'm going to delete this entry. I'm not actually deleting it. I'm deleting it from this list. And how you would locate lost partitions in Finish, and then yeah, okay, so it removed it here as well, because this is not a partition. The partition doesn't start at sector 0. So manage partitions, assuming no partitions are on the drive. It's very simple. You click the little looking glass thingy, and then I just accept defaults because I'm looking for an NTFS partition. I click OK. And it finds the NTFS partition. Finish. Then I select the NTFS partition and I click Explore. And you see that without hour-long scans, I mean, with drives 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, it can take a long time if you really run a full scan. But now we had it done in seconds. The partition scan took me seconds, and the explore the existing file system took me a fraction of a second. And so then basically I have everything I need to start recovering files if I need a destination drive, of course. But so in UFS, you click this button to start selecting stuff. I can just do, this is the NTFS file system. I right click it. I mark it for copying. It will select everything. I don't need deleted files or recycle bin. So at this point, I could if I wanted to know how much data will be copied, I can click evaluating data size. It will start indexing the number of files and the amount of space I will need to copy. This takes a little while. And then it tells me that it will need approximately 1.5 terabytes on my destination drive to copy all data. And then I just start saving files. I select the destination, etc., etc. I'm not going to show that because that will actually take a long time. So, but basically from selecting the drive up to selecting the data, I can do in a couple of minutes. I do not need hours of scanning. I do not need to go through folders with auto-generated names and files with auto-generated names. This is an easy way to recover data from a lost or deleted partition without scanning for hours. Same thing with DMDE. Some people think this is hard to use. They don't. I don't think it's hard to use. I will show you. I will select the disk, the 2 terabyte disk drive. And DMDE also does a real quick scan to find lost partitions. And it did find the lost partition automatically. I cannot hide this, so I can show you. Suppose this little list does not pop up. You go to you right click the disk drive and you click find more partitions, and it will start looking for lost partitions. But it will just find this list again. So I select the NTFS partition that was lost. I click open volume, and in a matter of 1 second, the entire file system is parsed. I can select the entire file system, assuming I want to recover each and every file. I can click the recover button, and I can click list size. If I click size, it will index the files, and it will estimate the size on the destination drive needed. It includes a little more. I see 1.6 terabytes. But why is that? Try again. It may be rounding, or 1.5 terabytes. So, because I don't want what's in the recycle bin. Okay, so I would need again 1.5 terabyte approximately to copy, to save the files. And if I want to recover, I just select the destination drive and click recover. So again, a matter of nothing, just a few seconds to get the deleted partition, open the deleted partition, select files, evaluate the number of files, and start recovering the data. Easy peasy, no hour-long scans, none of that. Do you wish to quit? Yep. Now I'm current. I have been asked to evaluate this drill, so why not do this now? Actually, wanting to make this video, I discovered that this drill did not find my interface partition. So I reported it, and a couple of days later I got a new build, and now it does. So I will show you the procedure in the upcoming version of this drill. And it's basically the same sequence of steps that I'll take. This is the Toshiba, the 1.8 terabyte. It does not automatically detect the partition, but I don't mind it. I don't think this is an issue. It could be an issue if a user is not aware of the actual problem and just hits the search for lost data button, because then it will scan for hours and we will get all kinds of noise of with auto-generated folder names and auto-generated file names and raw scan results. So a raw scan result is a scan result not based on the file system but on the file starting, for example, with hex sequence FFD8FF. So that may indicate it's the start of a JPEG file. For those files we also don't have names. So that adds a lot of noise to the file recovery tree, and it will confuse people because they want the data as it was when the partition was lost or deleted, and they don't want all this extra stuff. Maybe they want it, but they don't need it, but they just don't know it. So, but I right-click, search for lost partitions. Okay, done. And here's my lost partition. I can just get away with a quick scan. So no deep scan, no search for lost data. Search for lost data is basically each and every algorithm it has to detect data it will perform. So that will take a long time. And quick scan. Now you will notice it takes a little longer than with UFS and DMDE, but okay, it's done. It's just a couple of seconds. It's not a big deal. Then I select my lost position, but it took a little longer. But you see that immediately it knows it's gonna need 1.5 terabytes. And also, if I select my partition, it immediately knows I've got 1.5 terabytes selected. So rather than, or UFS and DMDE determined that after I selected the files and after I asked them to evaluate the size I needed on the destination drive, this drill has already done that, and this is why it took a little longer initially, but I saved it time now basically. And yeah, it's as easy as with the other ones. I select all data and all my folders are there. I click recover and I can start recovering my files to my destination drive. Sun's starting to shine. So you have okay. 3 tools without hour-long scans to quickly and easily recover files from lost or deleted partitions. Avoid long scans if you can, and avoid the noisy results that these long scans often produce. Well, if this helps, like and subscribe, and until the next time.